Welcome back, everybody. I'm Mari, and this is
Adam. You switched that up on me.
We thought we'd try something different.
Well,
so
you did.
We are trying something different, right?
Yeah, we tried something different. She started the intro.
I'm trying to take control, people. I'm trying. No, but in all seriousness, we are here to talk about
Stax Records.
Yes.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be interesting, right? Because we actually watched the document. What is it? Was it a document? I always call it a documentary, but it's also like a series too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, because it was 4 parts.
Yeah.
So it was a 4-part. I think each part was like over an hour long, right?
And we said we were not going to watch like more than 2 episodes. We ended up watching them.
We watched it all just back to back. We had to.
We had to do the binge.
Once you start listening to that soul music, man, you get into it.
It was so interesting. I found it exciting. So hopefully you guys get a chance. It's on actually Max, I believe.
Yeah, HBO Max. Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys get a chance, but we also wanted to.
But before you watch that, watch this video that's coming up next, right, Mari? Because we're going to talk about the documentary, which we loved, and we're going to show our Stax collection. Yeah. You can see some of it right behind us, right, Mari? Yeah.
And so you guys will get a taste of why we are actually fans of Stax Records. Yep. So hopefully you guys can join us, and please stay tuned.
Coming up next.
It's the Memphis train. Woo! Showing up, it's the Memphis train.
Coming to you on a dusty road. Good loving, I got a truckload.
All right, Mari. So this is our Stax Records video.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
I'm excited. For those who haven't watched the Stax, there's actually an HBO documentary series called Stax Soulsville U.S.A.
Soulsville U.S.A.
Which aired on May 20th. Yeah. And like I said, it's on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
So yeah, for those who are
Soulsville is actually a song written by Isaac Hayes. It's my favorite Isaac Hayes song. So that's a pretty cool title. And I guess Soulsville is really what they called the neighborhood that was around Stax Records.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, because when it first opened back in 1957 with James Stewart, or Jim, I want to say
Stewart,
Jim,
and
James.
His sister,
Jim. Estelle
Axton.
Yeah.
That's how they came up with Stax.
Well, they used the first 2 initials from the last name.
Yeah, so Stewart and Axton.
And then AX.
Yeah, Stax.
And put it together, which I thought was awesome. I always thought it was from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Did you?
I wasn't really sure.
Something? I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's what I learned. Yeah. But I'm not sure where I thought it came from.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's really cool. Yeah. It's a cool name. And then you got the Stax, like the record Stax, like
that's what
you see on her shirt.
Yeah, but they actually, when they first opened up, they weren't intending it for it to be
for soul music.
For soul music, it was more.
Well, Jim Stewart
country.
Is a white guy, and his sister, they're white, and Stax is in a black neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So they bought this old movie theater, which is in a black neighborhood. These 2 white people, and they're like, let's have a country and western, recording studio and record country and western music. Which I don't know if that was the best idea. You know what I mean? Because there was so much talent in that neighborhood. These kids that were so talented, with soul music. Yeah. And I think it wasn't until the early 60s, right, when Rufus Thomas came into Rufus Thomas was the mix. He was the first one to really make it big on Stax, right? And then he brought in his daughter, Carla. And she had a giant hit with Gee Whiz. Back in 1961, so it kind of took off from there. But at the same time, it was still kind of in like hiding in a sense, right? Well, they were recording for Atlantic Records, right? Like Stax was the recording studio, but whenever they put out a record, it was put out, I think, on Atlantic in the early years. Yeah. And at those times, it was hard to not only like appear that there were actually races, right? They were integrating races within this time frame, because back in the day, this was during segregation. Yeah. And especially in Memphis, Tennessee, segregation was really it was going on, you know? But at Stax Records, the interesting thing was the musicians were black and white. Yeah. Yeah. Booker T and the MGs was 2 white guys and 2 black guys.
Yeah.
You know, and that was very uncommon for the times. You know?
Yeah, and what's sad about that, if you watch the documentary, I think what's sad about it is that I don't know which artist was the one that said it, that they felt kind of a little bit. It was kind of sad because they got along very well in the recording studios, but then when outside, it's like they never even spoke to one another or hung out. But then we were talking about it. I'm thinking, why would you want to hang out with someone that you've seen for 11, 12 hours straight in the studio? You know, who does that? So I don't think it was meant.
They hung out in the studio so often that, I mean, when they weren't in the studio, they weren't going to be hanging out. I mean, they went back to their families.
Yeah, and I think that's with everybody,
So Steve Cropper from Booker T, he was saying, you know, he didn't realize that how hard life was for, you know, Booker T and Al Jackson Jr., who was the drummer. He didn't realize that they were going through all this, you know.
But that's kind of wrong to say, too. I kind of felt you know, how do you not know? I mean, obviously, it felt kind of a little bit cold to me in a sense, because I'm thinking, how would you know?
Right.
You're not dealing with what.
But it also shows that when they were in the studio, it was all business, and they didn't bring anything from the outside world. They didn't share any of that personal stuff.
Which, in that sense, I kind of have respect for that, because you're in there to do music. You're not there to talk about, you know, personal stuff that's going out. But I still say that if you're friends, you know, you would be able to.
But yeah, it was a different time, and it was a different place and a different time, you know.
Yeah.
Memphis in the early 60s. It's
but
like
what I liked about Jim Stewart is that him and his sister were very open, and
they had
such an open mind, and they had a sense of obviously empathy for anybody that came. Like they were able to share everything.
You know, a lot of times I think people have this picture of, you know, these white people from the South in the early 60s. Yeah. You would think that they wouldn't be very accepting, you know, but Jim Stewart and his sister, they welcomed everybody in the neighborhood. Yeah. You know, they said, come on into our record shop, because Stax was a recording studio, and it also had a record shop next door called Satellite Records.
And a lot of the artists said that they were very warm and inviting. Like they would not have pictured that these 2 white people would be that open. Right. I thought that was very nice to hear that. Yeah.
And the interesting thing about Jim Stewart is, you know, he was a big fan of country and Western music, and that's what he wanted to do. But it didn't really work out. And once they started recording soul music, he forgot all about country and Western, man. I mean, he realized just how great his soul music is. Yeah. And I think he actually fell in love with the music. Yeah. You know?
But it's unfortunate to hear that the crossover didn't really happen until they made Soul Man with Sam and Dave. They said that was the first, I guess, hit song that kind of made the crossover to know that Stax was actually working with.
And the interesting thing about Soul Man is I'm pretty sure it was written by Isaac Hayes. Mm-hmm. And a lot, you know, back at that time, Isaac Hayes was just a songwriter.
He was,
you know, and maybe an arranger, but he didn't record his own music.
No, Isaac Hayes actually didn't come into play till after, I believe, Otis Redding was kind of.
Otis Redding had already passed away in that plane crash.
Not saying that Isaac wasn't a big factor at that time, but I'm just saying that he became more popular because he started to come out from the shadows or whatever.
The Stax Records story is so interesting, and there's so many ups and downs. Yeah, you know, to where.
And it's cut into 4 parts. It's a 4-part series, and I like that because every chapter they kind of like break it down, like the beginning, the middle, kind of like everything that was going on, and of course how many artists were involved and how many left, and of course some of the artists that include, of course, we mentioned Rufus and Carla Thomas, Sam and Dave, Booker T and the MGs, Isaac Hayes, of course, and Otis Redding. Yeah. Am I missing somebody else? I know
the list goes on and on.
Yeah, there's just so many.
There's so many. And we'll get into that when we share some of our albums and CDs that we have. But it's amazing how much just great music was recorded there. You know?
Yeah, I do. If you guys get a chance, please check it out. Like I said, there were just, everything is just what I liked about not only... Al Bell, we didn't really talk about Al Bell.
Jim Stewart and Estelle Axton, they needed they wanted somebody that could do public relations, promotions, and get their stuff out there because their music just wasn't being put out the way they wanted it to. And Al Bell was a DJ at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And they figured, he's already a DJ, and he's got connections and he'll be able to talk with other DJs, and so that's kind of how Al Bell came into the equation.
Not to overshadow, there was other DJs from around the world. Remember, they were doing it like not in hiding, but they were sharing the music.
That's how Stax Records became really big overseas, you know, and like London and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the way that happened was back at that time, they had something called pirate radio.
Yep.
Where they weren't allowed to play the music like on the mainland. Uh-huh. But if you had a boat, you could broadcast the music on the boat, and it was called pirate radio. Yeah. And that's how a lot of people overseas were able to listen to, that soul music.
And I think what's part of I liked about this documentary too is when I forgot who were the ones that went out to England. Was it Sam and Dave?
Sam and Dave. They realized just how big they were. How
big they were and how loved they were, and it didn't matter.
And it was a different story when they got overseas. It wasn't like all segregated like it was
they were
in Memphis.
Everybody was so accepting regardless of color and race, and wow, it's like it's just so much, and it's sad because we don't. Yeah. Do we hear?
But anything? That tour was with Sam and Dave.
Yeah.
Booker T and the MGs, the Memphis Horns. Otis Redding, Carla Thomas, I think, and probably, it just, There
was so many participants. They also do talk about the California, what was it, festival? What was that? I call it a festival. It wasn't really it was more of a... what was the park? I always wanted to forget the California park.
It was like a hippie festival. I forgot what it was called.
Oh, gosh.
But... Our viewers are probably like, oh, this is what it's called. This is what it's called.
No. It was in Los Angeles, and it was a benefit for Stax benefit concert.
Oh, you're talking about that one. Oh,
yes,
the
Stax.
The
big one. The big main. Which one were you? You were just probably thinking of a different
I thought you were talking about when Otis Redding performed at it might have been the Monterey Pop Festival.
No, this one's the whole the big one.
Oh yeah.
It's more like just bringing everybody together.
And all the tickets were $1 each.
Yeah, $1 each.
This was in
so cool.
This was in Watts.
Yeah.
What was the stadium?
It doesn't really. I don't think I had the stadium concert.
Yeah, but the Watts Stax Festival. That was like the big, like the grand finale of the documentary, basically. But
it was 1972, right?
1972. And the community of Watts was really, it was
the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
Okay.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Stadium. Yeah.
And this was 10 years after, a lot of riots and a lot of buildings were burnt down.
Right.
And the Watts community was still recovering from that.
The Staple Sisters singers were there.
Staple singers.
Richard Pryor was also there. Yep. Luther Ingram, Kim Weston, Johnny Taylor, the Barkays, we didn't mention them. Yep. Albert King. So yeah, there was, a lot of stars that we probably...
That's when, the first time I saw the Watts Stax documentary, I had no idea that there was actually a black national anthem, and all of a sudden the documentary started and they're like, here's Kim Weston with the black national anthem. And I was like, I had no idea,
Yeah, which is
but
cool.
It's called Lift Every Voice.
Yeah.
It's a really great song. So
it was just nice to hear that there was nothing bad happening during that time. Nothing bad happened. And then it seemed like they were joking because I think, wasn't it Rufus Thomas when there was this gentleman was acting crazy in the middle of the field.
Some guy was acting crazy.
He was kind of like going with it and just kind of like hyping the crowd to get him off.
Yeah.
But not in a bad, not in a harming way.
the people were not supposed to go on the football field.
Yeah.
They were supposed to stay in their seats. But at one point during the concert, Rufus Thomas says, everybody come on down. And then somebody comes up to Rufus Thomas and says, hey, man, they need to get back in their seats or we got to stop the show.
It's amazing how they listen to him.
He tells him, he's like, you got to go back to your seat, and they all go back. And But, what they did, what was smart, Mari, is, this was a huge festival, which was predominantly all black people. Mm-hmm. And they decided, you know what, we're not going to have a bunch of white cops in there, running the show. They got all black security.
Yeah.
So everybody felt comfortable, and they didn't feel like, oh, what am I, I got this guy watching me or whatever.
Yeah.
And even the camera crew for the documentary were all African American.
Yeah. I mean, the music speaks for itself, Adam, I think.
Yeah.
There was just so much going on at that time with, like you said, with the riots, the segregation with Martin Luther King. I mean, there was so much going on at that time. And I think this music kind of just spoke for itself.
Yeah.
Especially with the Soul Man song. I mean, that was just meant for everybody that was dealing with that time.
Yeah.
It was like
an anthem. Soul Man was like an anthem, So.
And it was very sad when Otis passed away because, like I said,
his star was rising when he passed away.
And he was so humble.
And he had just recorded like the demo for Dock of the Bay. Or, just like the basic version of it.
Yeah,
it wasn't even
completed.
It wasn't even complete.
Kind of like in the works.
And right after he passed away, they told Steve Cropper, who was the guitar player, they said, hey, you got to finish Otis's song.
So awesome. Yeah.
So they went in and Dock of the Bay became his biggest song,
Unfortunately, after his passing.
And a lot of people don't realize, that came out after he passed.
Honestly, I did not think that. I thought it was, for some reason, I always thought he was around during that time. But but like I said, this was a cool documentary. Like I said, they also talked about the Lorraine Motel, how it was such it's a special place for all these artists to go.
They used to hang out there. They used to hang out at the pool.
Yeah.
All the artists from Stax, The song Knock on Wood was written at the Lorraine Motel because it was like raining. There was thunder and lightning going on. And, that part, thunder, lightning, the way something is frightening, knock on wood. So, yeah, it's crazy.
So if you guys get a chance to watch it, right? It's just...
And they said, the Lorraine Motel was such a happy place and such a welcoming place until the assassination, and that just kind of changed everything. Yeah. Because that's where Martin Luther King was assassinated.
But it's so interesting because when we go there, we don't even think of that. The only thing it's sad to say, but the only thing that when I go there, I'm just seeing the whole place where he was assassinated, but never crossed my mind to know that Stax was like...
That was a place where Stax Records,
which
that
is
people
more
would hang.
important. I don't know when we went to the museum, did they even mention? I didn't see that much focus on Stax.
You mean at the Lorraine Motel?
Yeah.
There might be a small exhibit.
Maybe we just didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
and that's why Martin Luther King went to stay there, because that was just a welcoming motel. They knew that was a safe place. Which it ended up not being.
Not being a safe place for him.
But, the Stax Records story is just so interesting.
I mean, there was so much history behind it that we did not, obviously, we don't hear as much for the music.
They recorded so many great songs in the early years. Mm-hmm. And Jim Stewart, the owner, he had kind of let's just say Atlantic Records screwed him over. And they lost all of their songs. So at one point in like the early 70s, Stax Records didn't even have any songs that they could distribute or sell. And they had to record all new music to put out there. And at one point they put out like 20 records at one, at one time. Like everybody recorded a record. Al Bell told everybody, go into the studio and record an album. We need music on Stax.
I gotta give it to Al because he actually worked really hard, and Jim Stewart. I mean, obviously those two guys really trusted one another when it came to
when Isaac Hayes
trying to keep Stax open.
Right.
But it was unfortunate because it did not happen once when they got their rights. What is it?
It happened twice. They lost all their music. But that first time when Al Bell told everybody, "Hey, go record something," that's when Isaac Hayes went to Al Bell and he said, "Hey, he's like, do you think I can record my own album?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead, record your own album."
Which was
what happened, man.
It was a good move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaac Hayes became Black Moses.
Yeah.
I mean, he recorded so many great songs and soundtrack albums.
Yeah. And he won awards for
he won the Academy Award for Shaft.
Yeah. Who would have known?
It's just awesome.
He's just so very talented gentleman.
Yeah. He even moved on to do movies and South Park and everything else, you know.
Yeah.
And we visited his grave, didn't we, Mari?
I think twice already.
Yeah. And he's buried in a beautiful cemetery in Memphis.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And his grave is right across from this really awesome man-made cave. And it's called the Crystal Shrine Grotto. Yeah. And his grave is just right across from it.
Yeah, we did a video on that. So if you guys ever want to check that out too, it's pretty good. I advise you guys to when you guys go out there to check it out.
It's called Memorial Park Cemetery, right, Mari?
That's really nice. Yeah.
But man,
oh wow,
we could talk about Stax all day long.
All day long with the artists that came out from there, and then it's just sad at the end how when it first. Well, we didn't like. There was something we didn't like about the ending.
We loved the entire documentary, and we even liked the ending, but we felt like it was missing something at the end. It was cut short. And this is what we didn't like: is Stax Records did go under, and it closed down in like the late 70s. And
it got torn down.
Eventually, the building was demolished.
Yeah.
You know, on the corner of College and Macklemore. That's the corner that Stax was on. Right. They demolished it. And then like 10 or 15 years later, the community, you know, Memphis, they said, what did we do? Why did we tear Stax down, you know? And so they rebuilt. It looks just like the original Stax, but now it's a museum. It's a soul music museum. Right. And it's also a school.
There's a school behind it.
A charter school.
All dedicated to obviously to making music, and there's something we didn't hear anything about what the museum's doing now with the community, what it's helping, you know, younger artists.
And several people from the original Stax work at the museum.
So I was wondering what happened.
So we're like, hey, well, you know, why don't they talk about, you know, the rebirth of Stax?
Right.
You know,
what's it doing now, and what's the purpose of having Stax music? I mean,
and just how people like to talk about it and listen to it, and just that it's not really dead. You know, it's still, at least in people's hearts, and you can go to the museum. You know, I just felt like at the end of the documentary, it seems so hopeless. Like, oh, Stax is gone. That's it. You're right.
They didn't really talk about what's happening today, which was odd. I wish they would have showed snippets of what it looks like today. You know, what they're doing, what kind of things are involved, and
because it's an awesome museum.
It is a very awesome.
And like I said, from the outside, it looks exactly like Stax used to look.
Yeah, and not only that, they have so many cool artifacts. Like I said, they have the school there. I mean, they got a lot of new generations coming in to see and visit Stax, so that's something they didn't include.
Yeah, they even have Isaac Hayes' Cadillac.
They got the Cadillac in there, which is awesome.
That shaft Cadillac. They got it spinning so you could see the whole thing, and it's got fur and all kinds of stuff. The studio's in there. You see a bunch of the instruments, and you get to see Booker T and the MGs, all their instruments.
Yeah,
all like the recording board and all that stuff.
Yeah. The soundboards. Everything was just pretty awesome.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So that's a little disappointing. But again, maybe that was not the purpose of that. Maybe it was just directed to the history, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, I would think this would be part of it, right?
Of the documentary, I felt like at the end they could have shown, you know, like, yeah, look, they've rebuilt the building.
Come and visit.
Come visit Stax.
Because I believe the director was in there. The woman.
The woman who's the director of Stax, or the woman who runs Stax.
Yeah, was there.
Who worked there since the beginning.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to say, "Why don't you come and visit us now?" Or something to that effect, but nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but that was the only thing that we would have like complaints about. Other than that, it was I liked it
for sure. Is it time for our show and tell?
It's time for our show and tell, you guys.
So, you know what? We don't just talk about Stax, man. We love Stax. So we got a whole bunch of stuff we want to share with you guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that coming up next, right, Mari?
Yeah. So please, you guys, stay with us.
It's show and tell time, right, Mari?
It is.
Isn't this exciting, man?
It's so exciting.
Whenever I get to just show stuff off, that's when I'm in my happiest state, right?
Yeah. Before we move any forward, though, I love your tags, though, that you're wearing.
Oh, yeah.
You want to show everybody your little dog tags that you're wearing?
We got our little Stax.
Those are pretty cool.
Pretty neat, right, Mari?
Yeah, I like those.
And on the other side, it's got some information on Stax.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Hey, I put it on for the video.
Yeah, you put it on.
So, hey, But this thing is like the classic, right? That
obviously.
Now,
did this come in the album?
Yeah, that comes. Let me just.
For those who do not know.
While you're showing it, I'll see if I can find like a copy of that album.
It's such a cool poster, but at the same time, it's folded in such a way that you know it's part of the album.
So yeah, it just comes like that, you know.
Yeah.
But and then it folds out.
Yeah.
And I saw one unfolded at Stax, and I'm like, I gotta hang one of those on the wall. So
pretty cool.
And then there's the back.
And that's supposed to be like the little
Isaac Hayes.
Little tombstone.
Yep. Black Moses himself, right?
Yeah. And
then up on the right, Mari, on the right of Isaac Hayes, that's one of those reel-to-reel. And that's Booker T and the MGs. So we don't have very many reel-to-reels. We got an Elvis one, and we got Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah.
So those are cool.
What do you have on the opposite side?
I think that might be the Staple Singers. Respect Yourself. Yep, the Staple Singers.
It's pretty cool.
And let me take this off the wall to show you because it's really neat. These are actual photographs of the Bar-Kays. And by looking at the photos, it's right around the time that they did Watts Stax. Because he looks just like he did in Watts Stax.
He does.
So,
yeah.
Those are cool. I just happened to find these one day in an abandoned house. So that's really cool. And I always like this sticker. It kind of reminds me of Stax.
It does.
That's a vintage. 1973 is when that sticker came out.
Do you remember where you got that sticker from?
It's another thing. I probably found it in the same house where I found these photos.
It's pretty cool.
And this is not like a Stax item, but it always reminded me of the Stax logo.
Yeah, snapping of the fingers.
This one.
Now, do you remember when they talked about how they got the image of the snap?
Yeah. I can't remember the story, but they talk about it in the documentary.
They do. It's pretty cool.
It's a good little story. And I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but I do love Stax so much that I got the tattoo right there of the little hand snap. So what do you think, Mari? Should we show some more records? Do you want to show some stuff? Or
you can keep going.
Could I just keep going?
Yep.
You want to see some of our records? I'm tripping on suitcases.
Yeah, please don't fall in the middle of our video.
I don't want to. We might go viral. We might go viral if I fall.
Like the guy that fell. Showing his stats.
I'm just going to kind of flip through some of these albums and just let you see, Most of these are original Stax albums. Now this one, Wilson Pickett, as you can see, it's on Atlantic. Mm-hmm. And that's when, they were recording these records at Stax, but being put out on Atlantic.
Gosh.
So
Atlantic had so much power over Stax, which is... it was very sad.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, money talks.
Oh, look at that one. That one's a classic, right?
Yes.
Everybody loves the theme from Shaft. But my favorite song on this album is Soulsville. Like I said, that's just such a good song. One. Albert King, we got some blues. Okay. More Isaac Hayes. There's a lot of Isaac Hayes in here. Don't you just love the album cover with the chains and the gun?
I do like his representation and his, his reasons for wanting to wear the chains. Because, like I said, I thought it was just a fashion,
right?
Kind of.
Well,
thing,
he said
but it was a statement.
The chains were always like, like a symbol of being held down.
Yeah.
And he wanted to just
show that he's
image,
showing power.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Just another more. There's
can't
so
hold
many.
It down.
There's
you
so
can't
many.
Hold Isaac.
Yeah.
Such a great.
Anytime I see an Isaac Hayes album, I pick it up. So.
He was such an intelligent man, though. People are not aware how intelligent this man was.
Oh, he was awesome.
When it came to music.
Yeah, he was like a genius when it came to music. He could play so many different instruments.
That I was not aware of. I always, when I heard of Isaac Hayes, I knew he was a writer, but I did not know he was like very...
Right. And the sad thing is that some people just think he's an actor.
Yeah.
Some people just think, oh, that guy from South Park, you know, or whatever.
You just don't know.
This is the Watts Stax album. This is one of them. And this girl, like, everybody just was like, man, look, check out her. Look at her dance. You know?
I guess. I like how it has Richard Pryor on the corner.
Yeah.
I do like Richard Pryor.
You gotta love Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. We got doubles and triples of some. Otis Redding. You gotta love Otis, right?
For sure.
At the Whiskey A Go-Go. Here we go, live in Europe.
Yeah.
Volt was another
label, right?
Another label that Stax had. It was part of Stax.
Kind of like little labels.
Yeah.
How you say labels? What's the word I want to say?
Like independent or?
I guess. I can't even think of the word, but I think it's just.
It's a part of Stax.
It is.
Yeah. I always liked this one. This was one of my favorite Stax albums. This is old school right here, Mari. Hold on, I'm coming. Yeah. And they're on that little slow turtle.
Yeah.
So they must not be coming too fast. But that's awesome.
Oh God, Adam, you will laugh at me. Now I can think of the word. It's within the label.
Yeah.
Labels within. See how bad I'm sorry, you guys. My mind sometimes my words don't come out, and I'm sure I'm contributing to old age here.
That is a good description, though, Marty.
But it's like little labels
within
the big label. Yeah, and I always think that's pretty cool that they had.
Well, like they also had they put out
their little brands.
Gospel music, and I think they called that Truth on the Truth label. But
Truth
was part of Stax.
Yeah, kind of look at Stax like a big umbrella, and then you have all these little labels underneath that that are connected, and that's just...
You gotta love the Staple Singers.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They were a huge part of Stax. Yeah. And they started out, I think, in Chicago originally.
Oh, wow.
And, so that's awesome. Live at the Sahara Tahoe.
Nice.
This one, I don't know if it...
Does it have like a little... Oh, that's so cool.
It's a little torn, but you open it up and there's Isaac.
It's pretty neat.
That's really neat. Yeah. This one, Booker T and the MGs.
Nice.
More Staple Singers. William Bell. He did a song that I loved on Stax. I Forgot to Be Your Lover.
Oh.
And then another song... You don't miss your water till the well runs dry.
You always say that one. Yeah, that's pretty good.
The Emotions. Now they had a big hit after Stax. I don't know if they ever had a hit on Stax, but there's The Emotions, Albert King, and then this is not a Stax record, obviously, the Blues Brothers.
Mm-mm.
But what I love is that. A few of the guys from Booker T and the MGs, Donald Duck Dunn and Steve Cropper, they were in the Blues Brothers band.
It's pretty neat.
And that's one of the reasons why, the Blues Brothers recorded a lot of Stax Records songs.
Yeah.
So that was
those guys were very cool and obviously very creative when it came to the music.
For sure.
Yeah.
So do you want to share some stuff real quick, Mari? Like some shirts and stuff like that? Or do you want me to keep going? It's up to you.
You can keep going. Fine.
Just keep going?
Keep going.
Hey, if you're encouraging this, Mari,
I don't know. I feel so much like I'm good with the camera.
You're good with the camera, and you know how excited I am to share
you're very
this stuff,
excited.
Right?
You guys don't mind, right? The Adam shows.
I just thought I'd show you even some of the...
Well, I'll do the merchandise. I'll do some of the merchandise.
Do the merch, okay?
Do the merch.
These are just some really good Stax DVDs that we have in the collection. This is Back to Stax. These are this is after Stax closed down and they had like reunion concerts. Mm-hmm. Of course, you got Otis Redding, so Dreams to Remember. So that's really good. It's a documentary. Respect Yourself, the Stax Records story. Soul Comes Home. That's like a Stax Records concert that they put on in Memphis, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Really good show. Only the Strong Survive. There's Black Moses right there. Mm-hmm. And Sam from Sam and Dave.
So cool.
And then this is a really wild Isaac Hayes concert. It's not the best quality, but it's crazy.
Also, it's like a little bootleg.
Yeah, have a couple drinks and watch this thing. Yeah, it'll blow your mind. But and then Watts Stax. That's the concert itself.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome. So that's cool. And then we even have 8-track tapes of Stax. This is Tough Guys. That's a soundtrack. Isaac Hayes soundtrack. And then Johnny Taylor right there. Tailored in Silk. Ain't that smooth, Mari?
Taylor and Silk.
Tailored in Silk. Yeah. Here's some 45s from Stax right here. These are cool. We got Mel and Tim, the Staple Singers, the Sweet Inspirations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, this is Elvis's backup singers, you know?
Yeah.
They actually recorded for Stax Records, so this is really cool. Sam and Dave, that's an old school label right there.
I do. I was about to mention that the changing of the labels and the logo, I think, are pretty cool.
Yeah, and then
there's a
Volt.
I do like the little Volt logo too.
So yeah, these are really cool. Otis Redding. So that's an Otis Redding right there. Let's see what record. That's How Strong My Love Is.
Oh,
I mean, it don't get much better than that, Mari.
No, it doesn't.
So Mr. Pitiful was on the B-side.
Mr. Pitiful.
Yeah. That's really cool. And then more, we got Isaac Hayes. You know, Eddie Floyd, Staple Singers, just all kinds of cool Stax Records. Here's a different type of a Volt label right there.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, Otis Redding on Volt. Soul Man, Sam and Dave. Barbecue, Wendy Renee, is that what it is?
Yep.
I don't even know if I know this one, you know? But it was 50 cents, so I bought it. It was 50 cents, I had to pick it up. And Time is Tight, Booker T and the MGs. Booker T and the MGs, Time is Tight. Hey, I picked up 2 of those.
Did not care, I know.
Yep. And Green Onions.
Green Onions.
Which is the one that started it all for Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. I think Behave Yourself is the one they recorded.
Right.
And they thought that was going to be the hit. And they said, we need a song for the other side.
But didn't Estelle was the one that created the song for the title?
She said, call it Green Onions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Estelle Axton. And they're like, sounds great.
Yep.
But before Mari shows you the our little merchandise, I'm not going to go through all of them. But as you can see, like, we love playing Stax. And here is a stack of stacks right here.
A lot of stacks of a stack of stacks.
Yeah, so these are all of our CDs.
Related artists.
We got Rance Allen Group in there. We got the Soul Children. We got Little Milton. I mean, we got the Staple Singers, the Barkays. The list goes on and on and on. So
yes, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
What about... Okay, never mind. I think that's part of the merch.
You're gonna
part of the merch, I do want to show. Obviously, you have one couple of part of the merches. The shirt.
My merch right here, which is my shirt.
Yeah.
And my little dog tag, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And now we're going to flip it, and I'm going to show your shirt, and you're going to show some more merch.
Yeah. Are you ready for that?
We're going to end this long video. We
didn't
know it'd be this long, did we?
No.
But hey, when you start talking about good music, man, you'll be there all day.
Time flies when we're having fun.
We love Stax Records.
We do. Can't wait to see it this summer, too.
Yeah. We're going to go back. We're going to do a video for you guys at Stax this summer.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
So all right, hold on.
Let's flip it.
Let's flip it.
Yep.
All right, you guys, so we're back. So I know we showed you a couple of things that Adam was wearing, like the shirt and his little name tags, or dog tags, rather.
Yeah.
And this is my shirt. We both fight for this shirt. Half this.
You're the one that always gets to wear that one, Mari.
Well, the one that he has was the one I chose for me, but he says differently, so we're just going to leave it at that.
Well, you know what's funny, Mari? Is there is actually one more Stax shirt that I didn't grab, because I wore it so many times that you can't even see the logo. So it just looks like a plain gray t-shirt. But
yeah, so this is one of them. This is another one that Adam and I fight all the time to wear. It's, I love the color. It's kind of like a little dark orangey red.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And
I don't remember who does the song, but it's just like, you can have my private number.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
so
it's a really good song, though.
That'll be a trivia. So for you guys, let us know in the comments who sings this song. But
it's a great song, and we love the shirt.
And, like I said, it's a nice, fall sweater.
You know what I think? I'm not sure, Mari, but that shirt looks like a reproduction of like an old shirt, Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they made those back in the 70s.
I'm sure it was. And these are the ones that Adam just decided to create on his own. He's wore these shirts. You could tell they're like really old. He got mad at me one time because I was like, why are you keeping this old shirt?
I made that shirt over 10 years ago, before I had kids.
Yeah, Stax.
So, yeah.
And this is like the original logo that they had there.
Yeah, I actually made that.
Snapping fingers.
Yeah.
And we found out what the snapping fingers is. It's usually, it was created when they thought the music was snapping. So
yeah, it was so good you had to snap your finger,
snap
right?
Your fingers, right?
Yeah.
So here's the other one that he created.
I made that shirt.
Look how old this thing is.
I did some painting. How
long ago was this?
I made it 10 years ago, Mari. 10 years ago.
This should have been red.
It was red originally.
It looks kind of like pinkish.
Yeah.
Salmon color. What did men say? Salmon.
Yeah, salmon. If it's a man wearing it, it's salmon.
It's a pink.
If it's a woman, it's pink, right? No, I'm just joking.
So that was we also got these when we were at Stax. They gave us these cards for free, which I thought were cool. This one has Mavis staples.
That one's really cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah, they had a stack of these, and they're like, hey.
And then they got a little bit of information on the back.
That's really cool.
Then they have this one right here.
Let me get over here.
Can you read that?
Betty Crutcher?
Is it because I can't? My eyes are just squinting so bad. You guys, I'm going to need some reading glasses. I'm sure I am.
Very cool.
On the back of it.
The next one looks like Booker T, is it?
Yes, Booker T. Jones. That's
Booker
such
T,
a
man.
great
He is a cool dude.
Look at that.
It don't get much cooler than Booker T.
This is such a great picture.
Yeah.
Of him right there.
That's awesome.
They got a little bit of information. This one is Albert King.
You want to hear some blues, man? Put on some Albert King.
Yes. Again,
that's awesome.
On the back of it. I like how they got little fun facts for him. This one is Al Jackson.
Yeah, he was the drummer for Booker T and the MGs.
Jr.
Yeah. You gotta love Al Jackson Jr., man.
And then, of course, his little fun fact back here.
He was such a good drummer.
Information on
he passed away at such a young age.
He did?
Yeah, I forgot what.
And the emotions, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you gotta love the emotions.
How they're laid out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the way it says hair. Soul, the writing, like the font.
Yeah.
It's so 70s,
so cool. And of course, they got the little... Oh, it looks like they started out, huh?
They started in Chicago, huh?
Sisters, huh? Started gospel, which is cool. We also just, I don't know, we tend to pick up stuff that we find there laying around.
That's a little ticket guest pass from Stax.
Yeah, for Stax.
From the museum, which you guys have to check out the museum.
So if you guys are there.
Especially if any of the Elvis fans are watching this and they're like, do I really want to go to Stax? You definitely do. If you're in Memphis...
I do.
It's so close to Graceland, just go to Stax, you know?
I don't want to mess these up, you guys, but here's, if I can just show you a little bit.
That's a really cool poster. I picked that up at Tower Records back in
the day.
Before Tower Records went out of business.
Just look at these covers, though. I mean, who would have known that they were so, Booker T, look at, and the MGs, who would have known that they were so diverse at that time?
That's so cool.
They're just breaking all the rules back in the day, huh? Breaking grounds.
Yep.
I mean, groundbreaking artists here. So.
I love that gospel music from Rance Allen.
Oh, you do.
You know I do.
He does. He listens to it a lot.
But,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we got to get that framed one of these days, Mari.
So Carla Thomas's song is Gee Whiz. It's such
Gee
a
Whiz.
beautiful song.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You should sing that to me, Mari. Gee Whiz, look at Adam's eyes. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I know. After the whole Priscilla thing, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not as good of a camera person as you, Mari. I got the ring light in there a little bit.
Got the ring light.
Just a little bit.
You're supposed to have it.
I know. I should be better, you know.
You got to be better.
I need to go to film school or something.
You got to go to film school. Take some classes like I did.
Yeah. But I feel like that's it, right, Mari?
That's it. And what we do decide to do is at the end of this video, Adam has some cool photos of your experience there when you went to visit Stax. What year would you say that when you went?
That was at least 10 years ago. Yeah.
It's got some real cool photos with, well, some of them include with
Steve Cropper and Carla Thomas. Yeah. And who else? There was some other Stax people. I'll put their names in the photos.
There's a lot of them.
It was really cool, though.
You sent them to me yesterday. I'm like, wow. I was just amazed how your friend, because he actually sent them to you, which is awesome because you couldn't find yours. I know you have.
Yeah, I sent a message to my buddy, you know, and I'm like, I need those pictures from Stax, you know, so.
So we'll leave you guys with that, and we hope that you enjoyed this video.
Yeah.
At least I know I did. Hopefully you guys get a chance to watch the documentary and check out Stax when you're in Memphis.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, you guys, we will send you off. I can't believe I'm sending this video off.
It's all you, Mari.
All right, you guys, thank you so much and I hope you like, subscribe, and share this with all your friends. And as always, we thank you so much for watching.
Take care.
Take care.